Namaskar to all of you. Rather than being a speech, it would be Man Ki Baat, I would say. It's what every Indian feels from heart, what I feel from my heart, and what I wish to talk with you very candidly. So please don't call it a speech, not a delivery. It is just a talk. I thank the Indian diaspora. I thank the overseas friends of BJP. I thank Balesh ji and Jai Shah ji for having invited me and given me this beautiful opportunity. Honorable Gavin Jeggins ji, the Special Minister of State Victoria, Honorable Inga, Shadow Minister for Multicultural Affairs, and Inga, do convey my regards to your mom. She's our mom, and she's celebrating her birthday. Honor to Mr. Lee, advisor to Mr. Gavin, and namaskar to Ms. Manika Jain ji. 3 years of Modi government. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm standing over here not as the spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party. I'm standing over here as a simple Indian who is going to discuss as to how India has changed these 3 years. Gavin, while I was sitting there beside you and watching towards the dais, I saw both the flags behind me, the Australian flag and the Indian flag. And that is the beauty of our culture. You know, we have something in Sanskrit, the basic ideology of Indian civilization. I feel India should not just be confined within the limits of naming it as a country or a nation. It should rather be called as Indian civilization because it is beyond the boundaries of a nation. It is a thought process. And the beauty of this Indian civilization is contained in these few words of Vedic culture, and these words which are oft being resounded by Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi ji, is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This whole world is one family. This whole world is one family, and that's the reason as to why, Inga, tonight you should throw a big lavish party for all of us. Because after all, our mom has turned 84. So though we may have two different flags behind, but it's a small planet, planet Earth, our mother, at the end of the day, and we are the children of this beautiful planet that is Earth. And that's the reason as to why, when 3 years of a phenomena has completed itself in some other corner of the world, even this corner of the world is celebrating. That is the beauty. And what Modi ji often says in Hindi, "Main hisab dunga," that means I will give the accounts of what I have done, what I have achieved, whether I have met the aspirations of millions of people who voted for me as I complete year after year of my governance. So today, here I am as the messenger of the ruling party of the country to give that hisab, to give that account, and that account needs to be given out across the world because, after all, the world is a small family, and the goodness that is happening in any corner of the world needs to be propagated, needs to be carried forward to every corner of the earth. And well, yes, since I said that I stand as an Indian, not as a spokesperson of a party, I would not criticize my predecessors. But whenever I have to do that, I'll do that in Hindi. Because naughty, after all, politicians are. Howsoever hard they may try to, but politicians will always be politicians. So whenever I have to do that, I will change my tone, and you would know that. You would not understand what I say. Number one. We had, as I told, India is a civilization. We had a number of governments before this as well. We would have a number of governments in the years to come. But I firmly believe that when a man's life is being celebrated, 3 years of Modi government, 3 years of Modi government definitely has a lot of statistics to it, a lot of data attached to it, which I would be doling out, keeping in care that I do not bore you in a very different way. But when a man's life is being celebrated, remember that the man has achieved something. And the achievement is nothing but meeting the aspirations of millions of people. What was India? And how did it change in 3 years? 3 years is not even a drop of water in the ocean of times. 3 years means nothing when history is written. Yet these 3 years the subsequent 2 years and the time thereafter under the leadership of this great man would always be remembered in the history of the country because there has been transformations which were waiting to happen but which did not take place. That is the reason as to why we need to discuss about these 3 years. Yesterday I was in Adelaide University, and the topic that I had to deliver on was the economic transformation under Mr. Modi's guidance, under Mr. Modi's prime ministership. I firmly believe, I'm a surgeon, I'm not an economist, but I have a basic view of my own. My view is, be it the economy, be it medical practice, be it entrepreneurship, be it business, be it diplomacy, be it politics, the most important component that gives an engine of fly to any of these, that drives any of these, that makes any of these climb along the ladder is energy. It is energy. If you have an energetic doctor, you have a good doctor-patient relationship, you have the best of outcome of medical practice. If you have an energetic attorney, you have the best of legal practices, and you have the best coming out of jurisprudence. If you have an energetic politician or an energetic diplomat, you have the best coming out of diplomacy or politics. And that is what India is seeing right now. The energy of one man called Mr. Modi. India's beauty is, and let me tell you, the best thing about India is its demography. Come 2020, India would be the youngest nation of the world. Our mean age in India would be 29 years. Just imagine, 64% of India's population would be of 29 years of age. That's the mean age. And we would have a young, vibrant workforce in India. And when you have that kind of energy in the populace, when you have that kind of energy in the demography, what do you need to give it a real sense of direction, to give it a positive sense of direction? You need the vision and energy of a leader which matches the energy of its demography. And today, that time, fortunately, has arrived for India. We have the population which is energetic, which has ideas, which wants to be innovative, and we have a leader who is equally energetic, who is equally visionary, and he wants to take India in the real way in the world, where world would say, look, here comes the arrival of India, the Indian civilization. I have been saying, what are the A, B, C, D, E, F of Modi governments in these 3 years? The A of the Modi government is that India has arrived. Finally, India has arrived on all platforms, not only at the home front, but India has arrived on the global platform as well. Today, we can feel the presence of India everywhere, and who best can judge this than the Indian diaspora? Ask them. A few years ago, the same diaspora felt differently, was recognized differently, and today I'm sure they feel differently and they are recognized differently. That is the importance of arrival of India on the global platform. Only recently we saw as to how each of the Indians were glued to the television channel when the International Court of Justice delivered a very important verdict. Without any bitterness, I would say, India arrived on the international scene because A, look at the homework with which India went to the International Court of Justice. It was proved that here is a country with credibility. Here is a country which speaks the truth. Here is a country which has a stand, which has been validated by none other than the International Court of Justice in Mr. Jadav's case, if you remember. So naturally, that is an arrival of a country in the global platform. After 28 long years, nearly 3 decades, the Indian Prime Minister visited Australia. Finally, Mr. Modi arrived in Australia. So naturally, the kind of relationship that was waiting to happen, India arrived after many years. So A for arrival, A for assertiveness. India has asserted itself as never before. Mr. Modi went to the United Nations. He called on the United Nations. He dared the United Nations and said, 1/6 of humanity lives in India. 1/6 of humanity finds home in India, and yet India does not find a place in the United Nations Security Council. Why not? That is the assertiveness of India. And I'm thankful today we have ministers over here. We have great men from Australia over here. We are thankful to you, sir, for the kind of support that you have extended to this wish of India, this demand of India. We move together. So this is the arrival of India. This is the assertiveness of India. B, the boldness and the basics of politics has come back yet again. A bold prime minister is what was required. And let me tell you, we have an international conglomeration. People from various sections are present over here. I'm in the beautiful land of Australia. And let me tell you with all pride, holding my head high, that he's such a bold prime minister that a decision which was never taken worldwide, a decision which no global leader thought of taking, Mr. Modi did that. Demonetization. We may have debates over it, we may have discussions over it, we may have our critics not agreeing to the benefits of demonetization. Papers may be presented, but let me tell you, down the line when history is written, globally, this would be seen as a phenomena in politics. I can guarantee you that. It would go down the history books as a phenomena. As far as India is concerned, my friends, what is that which has touched the life of every Indian? What is that which has shook the very conscience of India in the past? One event, if I remember correctly, which has shaken the very conscience of India, which was of great impact to India as such, was partition of India. Even the partition of India failed to touch every singular life in the subcontinent of India. Because maybe some people who were living in Odisha, maybe some people who were in Kerala, maybe some people in Bihar were not touched by the partition. They were emotionally touched by it, but maybe physically they were not touched by it. But the first decision in the subcontinent of India, which touched every life, one to all, from the Himalayas to Kanyakumari, from Somnath to Puri, the one decision which touched everyone's life equally was demonetization. A rickshaw puller or a millionaire, a doctor or a lawyer, everyone was touched by demonetization in some way or other, positively or negatively. Touched they were. Look at the boldness of the decision. No politician on the face of this earth would ever take a decision which would disrupt the life of a whole civilization positively, yet touch them, yet disrupt their lives, and yet be confident that I would still stand tall and I would still be loved. That is the amount of boldness, the confidence, the greatness that this man called Narendra Modi has. He took this decision because, number one, his intentions were right. His intentions were corrective. His intentions were to wipe out corruption. His intentions were right and his principles were right, that if I fight for the right cause, I need not be worried, come what may, truth will always be victorious. So I would say after a long time we had a prime minister who followed what is written in the Indian emblem, Satyameva Jayate. He firmly believed that ultimately, whatever happens, it is truth which is going to win, and I should firmly stand by truth. So despite the fact that demonetization touched upon every life, but this man was bold enough, was decisive enough, was determined enough to see to it that he took this decision. The irony is, look, what is a visionary leadership? What is the definition of a visionary leadership? Visionary leadership, why does the word vision come in visionary leadership? Visionary leadership is, you are seeing things right in front of your eyes, but still you are not doing anything about it. Still you are closing your eyes to it. Everyone in the country knew that there was a humongous parallel economy in the country. Everyone in the country knew that the black currency in the country had to be tackled. If in the capital city of India, Delhi, you want to buy a property, which may be probably 1 crore rupees or 1 million rupees, I will convert it into millions for you to understand easily, then probably it would be 500,000 which had to be paid through check, which was white money, and 500,000 had to go through different routes, which was black money. Everyone knew it, yet no one wanted to do anything about it. I'm astonished. I was aware of this all the while. Everyone in the city and town was aware of it all the while, yet no politician wanted to take a stand to correct it. Here is a man who thought, why? If I know it, if I am seeing it, why should this not be corrected? And this, I believe, is what a visionary's duty is. He took this decision. Remember, this was one of the advices. Demonetization was one of the advices given to our late respected Prime Minister, whom we love a great deal, Indira Ji. But she said, no, we have to fight elections as well. If I take up demonetization as a policy decision now, then maybe the Congress will not come to power. Maybe we will be wiped out. So no, a big no to demonetization. But he never thought about the political consequences. And I believe a visionary is one who transcends the political consequences, who thinks beyond his political party, and who thinks only about the beauty and the wonders, the corrective measures for one's nation. He thought about his nation, not about the party and not about petty politics. And that is the beauty of a visionary. The boldness, the basics arrived, assertiveness, the boldness, the basics. What is the most basic thing in life? The most basic thing in life is eating and defecating. I'm so sorry, I'm being very candid, I'm being very truthful. But none of the former prime ministers, none of the former leaders ever thought about this in the way Mr. Modi did. He is the prime minister who used the word toilet the maximum number of times. Look at any of his speech, every speech of his would have the mention of a toilet. From the ramparts of the Red Fort, where we hoist our national flag on the Independence Day, Mr. Gavin, we would be astonished to know that Indian Prime Minister spoke about construction of toilet across the nation. He said that if we are so concerned about the health of this nation, then we have to be concerned about the defecating habits of our people. Why do we have open defecation? We have to construct toilets across the nation. And let me remind you, when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, he had a simple study. Why were child dropping out from educational system? Why were child dropping out from schools? And the study showed that because of a lack of basic facility like toilet, girls did not feel like going to school. Menstrual hygiene had to be looked after. Toilet was a basic thing. They did not feel like going to the school. Mr. Modi changed that in Gujarat. He built toilets for every school, and that was the reason as to why the dropout rate decreased. And the same thing he extrapolated for the whole nation, that no, toilets have to be there. This is what is called as a vision. If a leader thinks about nutrition, if a leader thinks that health lies in nutrition and what you intake, then naturally one has to think in a visionary pattern as to why defecation should not be an important arena of discussion and why toilet should not be an important arena of discussion. Today, sanitation and toilet is a discussed issue in India, and I can tell you, this may not be a policy paper, this may not be a big issue for many to discuss, but this is going to be one of the most important issues on which history is going to accolade, going to congratulate Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. In 2013, India, in fact, was declared as a country which was named within Fragile Five. 2013, the World Bank, the World Economic Forum, they'd all come together to say that India is a Fragile Five country. The five countries being BITS: Brazil, India, Indonesia, Turkey, and South Africa. They said that the economy was not doing well. For 2 consecutive years, the GDP of this country had gone down. gone down below 6%. It was a fragile economy, and investment was discouraged in India. It had a huge impact on the Indian economy, this terminology of fragile five. And what have we achieved in these 3 years of Modi government? From fragile five to fabulous few. We are the fabulous few today in this whole world. And I'm honored to state what the IMF, the International Monetary Fund's managing director had to say for India. She said that India was a bright spot amongst the gloomy economy across the globe. So bright spot, from fragile five to a fabulous few to a bright spot in the world economy. That is what India has achieved within these 3 years. I often say that some of the best achievements are acts of commission. What you do, if I say that what have you achieved, you would say, well, yes, I have achieved these things, and most of them are acts of commission, the actions that you have taken. But one of the biggest achievements of this government, one of the biggest achievement of Mr. Modi as the Prime Minister, I'm proud to state, is an act of omission, is an act which he has not done, and that is corruption. That is corruption. And the kind of perception that India had prior to this government, I'm sorry to state, I think it's time for me to speak in Hindi now for a while. With all due respect to everyone, that or this, both are our government. But that is what the beauty is. We have to discuss things threadbare so that we learn from our mistakes in the past and we cling to the opportunities in the present. We extrapolate the opportunities in the present. That is the beauty. There was a time when in India, corruption was so rampant that across the globe, there was a perception that investment should not be made in India. Fragile five, no investment. From corruption to no corruption, from fragile five to fabulous five, and the result is India has become the best destination of foreign investment today. It is the best destination for FDI today. And in fact, in 2016, it was a record which was established by India, the beautiful civilization of highest FDI across the globe. There was a time in the yesteryears, I remember, you all must be remembering, there was a time when the I in the BRICS nation, BRICS, Brazil, India, Russia, China, and South Africa. The I in the BRICS was the weakest link. Not only the weakest link, it was said that the I in the BRICS is about to fall. The I in the BRICS was about to fall. From there, the I in the BRICS today is the pillar holding the BRICS together. That I is the pillar, one of the fastest growing economies in the world. So from assertiveness, India has arrived, bold decisions, basic decisions, and C for competitiveness. There's a new kind of competitiveness as far as India is concerned in the global arena. It's not only the indices that I'm talking about, but let me inform you, the World Economic Forum's Global Competitive Index for 2 consecutive years has projected India as never before. India has jumped 16 positions in the World Economic Forum's Global Competitive Index to be ranked 39th in the world for 2 consecutive years. No nation in the world for 2 consecutive years has jumped 16 positions to be where it is today. And you would be astonished, my friends, of the 12 parameters which judges the Global Competitive Index, few are basic parameters like electrification. How much electrification has this country achieved? If you have electricity, if business has electricity, only then you would be competitive, or else you would not be competitive. And I'm glad to inform you, within these 3 years, we have achieved a lot. There were 18,000 villages in India, 18,000 villages in India, which were not electrified when Mr. Modi became the Prime Minister of the country. And within a short span of 3 years, Mr. Modi has electrified 14,000 villages of India, and now we are just left with the task of electrifying another 4,000 villages, which I am sure would be completed well before 2019, though the target is 2019, but I can say the pace with which this man works, it is going to be well before 2019. Electrification. One of the parameters is internet speed. One of the parameters of judging the competitiveness, the entrepreneurship, the business growth in the country, the investment in the country is a simple thing called as internet speed. Digitalization across the country, the way his vision has taken it, has changed the whole thing. I'll give you a data. BharatNet, as far as digitalization of India was concerned, BharatNet started its work in 2011 to lay down the optical fibers across the country so that we have digitalization at the Gram Panchayat, that is the smallest working block. Gram means village, and Panchayat is the smallest governing body in India. There is a basic unit of governing body in India. So when we took over the reins of governance, there were only 59 Gram Panchayats which were having the facility of optical fibers. So optical fiber was laid only till these 59 Gram Panchayats, and I'm proud to announce that because of the vision of our Prime Minister, because of the relentless energy that he exudes, today 98,000 Gram Panchayats have been electrified. Cannot be compared. 59 and 98,000. Humongous. It's a giant leap. And I tell you, when we interact with our respected Prime Minister in the party meetings, the only one thing which he is extremely concerned about, which he always speaks about, which I feel is his mantra, he says, I don't believe in incremental changes, I believe in quantum leaps. I don't believe in incremental changes, that you should have small change here or a small change there. If a civilization like India has to change, there has to be quantum jump. And let me give you another example as to what the quantum jump is like. When we came into government, when we came into government? All the last approximately 69 years of India's independence, LPG cylinders which were distributed across the country for all those 69 years was 12 crores. 12 crores, 12 lakh crores. And today, in fact, you would be astonished to know that the target that Mr. Modi's government keeps is to distribute in a short span of 5 years, 5 crore LPG cylinders, of which under the Ujjwala Yojana, we have already distributed 2 crore 22 lakhs LPG cylinder to the poor woman across the length and breadth of the country. That is a giant leap that this government believes in, the quantum jump that this government believes in. So Mr. Modi always believes in quantum jumps. As far as the D of Modi government is concerned, we have arrived, we have achieved, we have asserted, we have been bold, we have had basic things, we've been competitive. The D is for development. I'll tell you, most of you must have been watching the elections. India's elections must have been an observed election, because the common thing that India and Australia shares is a vibrant democracy, a very vibrant and diverse democracy. And Gavin was saying that India is a very diverse country and he would not understand the diversity. Gavin, believe me, even we don't understand the diversity at times. Leave aside you. Even we fail to understand the beauty of the diversity that our subcontinent possesses. The Indian elections, in fact, have been observed elections. And you would agree with me that the paradigm shift of Indian election occurred when Mr. Modi was announced as the Prime Minister candidate of India. Before that, as Inga pointed out, caste, religion did constitute an important issue of discussions, debates, political rally points for scoring votes. But once the advent of Mr. Modi into the political arena and the national scene was ushered in, the most important issue which was discussed and debated was the fourth D, that is development. That was a huge paradigm shift in the Indian polity. He firmly believes that the only thing that this country can do to meet the aspirations of billions of Indians is development. And that is the reason as to why he has given a huge push to the rural economy of this country, to the agriculture of this country. Let me add a few examples, because I know too much of data will not serve the purpose. I just want to touch the broad points. We have approximately 50% of the Indian population, or slightly more than that, engaged in farming. A giant leap by the Modi government is for the insurance of the farmers, which is called as the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Bima Yojana. Under this Bima Yojana, the premium has been decreased, the capping has been brought down, and many arenas which were not touched, they have been touched. So naturally, this kind of insurance today, previously only 23% of farmers were covered by insurance, because farming constitutes the backbone of the country, and Mr. Modi has pledged that he would take this insurance to 52% of the total farming population, and we have thankfully achieved 42% today. So it's a giant leap from 23% in all these years to 42% what the government has already achieved. So the development push is huge. So the A, B, C, D of the Modi government is to see to it that the mantra of the Modi government is met with. And what is the mantra? The mantra is reform to transform. Reform to transform. He has reformed every sector to see to it that there is a transformation in every sector. As far as ease of doing business is concerned, because I'm in a foreign nation, so ease of business needs to be mentioned. Many of you would like to go and carry out some kind of business in India. Many of you would like to go and invest in India. And the Victorian state relationship with India would surely depend on the ease of doing business in India. So ease of doing business has gone notches up under the Modi government. Some very small examples is the e-biz portal. Previously, if you had to start a business, you had to visit the sites of the various departments of ministries to see to it that you fill your form, you get your PAN number, you get your TIN number, and you had to visit to various platforms separately. Today, all of them have been clubbed together under one portal, the e-biz portal. The number of days for clearance, for instance, the environment clearance, previously it took 600 days for environmental clearance, that has been reduced to 60 days. So that kind of reform that Mr. Modi believes needs to be taken has been taken in a way which has never happened before. And let me tell you, this government firmly thinks that it is a government of the poor, government of the farmer, government which would see the changes which had never taken place in the history of the country would take place. And today morning, I put on, there's a time gap between India and Australia, and when I saw my Twitter today morning, the best news that I got was, finally, Switzerland's first information on black money would be starting from 2018. So all those who had stacked black money abroad and who thought that they would not be touched or they were secure, this bit of news that India's treaty with Switzerland has gone to the level next, where any information of those people who stashed the black money abroad would be given to the Indian government, is something what Mr. Modi had promised and what Mr. Modi is delivering. So it's not just rhetorics or talks, it is on the ground that Mr. Modi works. And let me tell you, before I end, India and Australia would have strong roads of friendship, and I firmly believe this word ROADS, roads, constitutes one of the most important spinal cord of development. A country which has a good network of roads is a country which develops ultimately. And we have seen that when the Bajpayee government was in place, the NDA dispensation previously, for 6 years, maximum road construction took place during the Bajpayee era. In fact, our predecessor government also submitted an affidavit to the Supreme Court of India saying that, well, yes, 50% of the roads were constructed, which were constructed after independence, was during the NDA dispensation then. And today I can proudly say that legacy is being continued by the Modi government, and road construction is as never before. Under the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, they had laid down 48,000 kilometers of road in just 1 year. 48,000 kilometers of road in 1 year, and up till now in 3 years, the road constructed under the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, that is a village and the rural construct, is 1,20,000 kilometers. Previously, the road construction rate was 69 kilometers a day under the Gram Sadak Yojana. Today, you would be astonished to learn it's an awesome 139 kilometers per day. So that is the kind of change. That is the kind of change that we are seeing. Leaving aside statistics, let me draw the whole thing towards an end. Leave aside certain things. Statistics you have to read. You may not be quite savvy with the statistics report. Everyone is not. But a look at a person, the beauty of democracy, the beauty of media is, since you have the person flashed on your TV channels day in and day out, you see him, and I can tell you, you may be an Australian, you may be an Indian, you may be from New Zealand, or you may be from America, but at the end of the day, people have the ability, this beautiful ability of reading their people. People have the ability of reading their leaders. What is the intention of this leader? You make two people stand in front of you, and people after a while will say, he is a good man, and this man is not going to perform. That is the way people read things. The love that Mr. Modi has across the globe today, the love that Mr. Modi has across the country and the continent today is because of the fact that people have read his intentions. People know his intentions. And that is the reason that we are seeing the kind of friendship between people and the government is as never before. I was telling you about demonetization. And look at the love of people for Mr. Modi. The other day I was in US talking about demonetization, and I told them, in US and otherwise, you frequently have these discussions. Indian people, most of them are not educated, they're not aware, they're not mature. We have often to hear this. But let me tell you, after demonetization, it would be a case study. It has shown that the most mature people of the world reside in India, probably. Everyone was touched. Everyone was touched by demonetization. The poorest of poor were touched. There were some poor people who were standing in queues for hours together. There were people who suffered in hospitals also. Yet, there was not a single instance where people broke the law. There was not a single instance where Indians took law into their hand. There was not a single instance of rioting anywhere in the country. Just imagine, that is the power of maturity. And where do the people derive their maturity from? And that is the reason as to why I call India not as a nation, but as a civilization. Because over the years, over ages, they have learned the art of reading eyes. They have learned the art of reading hearts. They have learned to say, you are mine because you think of me. And that is the reason as to why they read the eyes of this man and said, well, yes, there may be short amount of disruption. We might have been impacted, but we stand by you, Mr. Prime Minister, because we know that you are here for corrective measures. You are here with a rightful intention. You are here to change India. And Inga, let me tell you, there was a time long ago in India when we had a great Prime Minister by name of Lal Bahadur Shastri. And Lal Bahadur Shastri gave a call to this nation of India saying, we have to fast for 1 day in a week. In a week, Indians should fast for 1 day because that would save a lot of food grains. And every Indian followed what the beloved Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri had to say. Every Indian fasted. Someone was fasting on a Monday, someone was fasting on a Tuesday, but nonetheless they were fasting. After Lal Bahadur Shastri, he's the second Prime Minister who gave out a call to drop your subsidy on LPG. He said, if you want the poor to get the benefit, then the rich and the ones who are able to bear the burden should give up their subsidy so that I can give an LPG cylinder to a poor household, to a poor woman in some corner of this country. And I'm glad to inform you that 1 crore Indians gave up their subsidy. 1 crore Indians. And what Mr. Modi often says about this phenomena, you know, we all in this beautiful country of ours, we embrace. We love embracing. We don't want things to go off. If we have certain things, we want, no, let me keep it forever. This is mine. So what happens is, if you travel in an aeroplane, and if you have, this example has been given by Mr. Modi a number of times. If you travel in an aeroplane, and if you have your seat vacant, the seat next to you is vacant, then you immediately take out your mobile phone and you keep it there. And then you immediately take out your book and your specs and you keep it there. And you feel, this is mine. This is mine. And then you see someone coming the other way. Oh, he should not come here. He should not. And he turns away and, oh, thank you. This is mine. And then there is this gentleman who comes with an attaché, with a suitcase, right towards your seat. And you start cursing him under your breath. Oh, my God, he's going to take my seat as well. My seat in the sense it was not your seat ever. You just put your bag and baggages there because you felt that it was my entitlement. So it's so difficult to give up. Yet 1 crore people gave up. And this act of giving up happens only when you have a leader whom you love. Today, we love this man because of the fact that this man loves our great civilization called India. Thank you, Australia. Thank you, India.